Right then, this should be interesting. It certainly was last year, and let's hope for the same response, because it's now time to predict the table. The table of tables. Well, not the table of tables. It's the Scottish Premiership table prediction for the 2017-18 season. Last year, this was really one of the first football videos that I done on the channel. This is where I took the transition of the channel, and just before we go on, I just want to say thank you for the support in that year, because really this is the kind of anniversary of when shit started, the mark of this video, so thank you. But I'm going to try and not waste a lot of time talking here at the start. We're going to try and just get right into the swing of things and predict what the league table will finish like, in my opinion, by the end of this season. Now, just before we go any further, this year was fucking much harder to predict than last season's. So much harder, it was unbelievable, especially the places between 2nd and 6th. That is where things were very, very difficult. That's where I was struggling to decide who would go where, and I tell you what, I reshuffled it many, many times, and I had to come to a final conclusion, and I'm still unsure if even I'm completely 100% satisfied with my standings between 2nd to 6th. But not much I can do about it now. I've finally decided, and we're just going to move right on. Where else should be a suitable place to start than the bottom? So we're going to go from bottom to top. We're going to talk about the two first teams, the two teams right at the bottom of the table, 12th and 11th. Right at the rock bottom of the table, we've got Hamilton Academical, and 11th, we've got Dundee. Reasoning, I guess that's what you're here for. My reasoning why I've got Hamilton rock bottom. Last season, I think they had a lot to fall back on. The season before, they had stuff to fall back on as well. That was Inverness. Inverness were beyond shite last year, and Hamilton could rely on them to play shiter than them. The season before that, who went down again? I can't remember now. Dundee United, they were beyond dreadful, and they could rely on them playing shiter than them, playing shiter than Hamilton. This year, I don't think it's the same situation. I think now that Hibs have came up, we've not got a necessarily weak team who have just been promoted. Obviously, Hibs are strong. It's the same situation as Rangers coming up. But I just don't see a team worse quality-wise in the league than Hamilton. And I think this will be the year that they do drop back down to the Championship. I just don't think they've got the squad to do it. I don't think they've got the strength to do it. Who knows? I could be completely wrong. But I just don't see Hamilton surviving this year. I think it's the end of the road. Who knows? They might come right back up. But I do see Hamilton finishing rock bottom of the table. I think they were lucky that Inverness were here last season, because they you know, Inverness were a far worse team. But this year, I see them as the worst team in the league quality-wise, and I think for that reason they will go down. Leading on to 11th place now, and I've got Dundee sitting 11th. I just don't feel like they've got the best manager. Just being honest. Neil McCann taking, what is this? This is his first venture into management, I'm sure. And it's with Dundee, and he obviously had the spell as manager at the tail end of last season. He managed a few games. Wasn't the strongest of tenures, but they did decide to keep him on. And in the Betfred Cup group stage, he couldn't top his group. And for that, and I just don't see the improvement in their squad. They brought in Scott Allen from Celtic on a loan deal. That could potentially be a big improvement, but once again it comes down to the weakness of the squad, and I do think they have got the weakest squad apart from Hamilton in the league, and it's why I have to put them 11th. And also I just don't think they've got the best manager in the league. I think Neil McCann is going to struggle to get in with it. After all, he's a pundit. And he's been punditing for years. You know, he always gives his opinion, but I just don't think he's cut out to be a manager. Who knows? He might prove me wrong. Hands up at the end of the season if he does prove me wrong and they go and finish like 6th. Last year I had them predicted to finish 7th, I'm sure, and this is a big drop down to 11th place. They just did not finish strong enough last season for me to put them any higher on this league table, and it's why I've got them at 11th. Right, going on to the rest of the bottom half of the table. At 10th place we have got Motherwell, 9th place Ross County, 8th place Kilmarnock, and 7th place Partick Thistle. Now Partick Thistle might be that was quite hard to decide, do they go into the top half or not, but we'll work from the bottom up and we'll get to my reasoning of why I've got Partick Thistle in the bottom half of the table. So Motherwell, first off, it's just, once again, they didn't have a great season last year, and I just find it hard to believe that they're going to do well. I think this is one of the teams who can go either way, and it's the same situation as last year where I had Partick Thistle. I think I predicted Partick Thistle to finish 10th or 11th, and they went and finished in the top half. Hats off to them. They went and finished 6th, and I think that could be the same kind of similar situation here with Motherwell. Potentially they could prove me wrong, but who is it? Stephen Robinson, is that their manager's name? I'm sure it's that. Maybe making an ass of myself there, I can't myself. But I don't know too much about him and his tactics enough to actually think they can finish higher in the table. And they've lost Scott McDonald. They've still got Louis Moult. The question is, will they hold on to Louis Moult? Maybe with him in the squad they can go higher. But if they do lose Louis Moult, I think it's going to be a very difficult season for Motherwell. They need to try desperately to keep a hold on to him, or even find a replacement who is good, which would be very difficult. But I have got Motherwell at 10th. Once again though, they're the team I think it can go either way. 9th, Ross County, same kind of situation. Not the strongest of teams, but Ross County always seem to have some sort of fight in them. I don't see them going down. Ross County topped the bottom half last year. They topped the bottom half then. I don't see a dramatic weakness in their squad. They've stuck with Jim McIntyre as their manager, who seems to have a solid tactic with the team. He knows what he's doing. Obviously, they won the League Cup a couple of years ago. They've got a chance of staying up, and I think they will stay up. I don't see them going down. I don't see them having a drastic disimprovement from last season. Not much to say in Ross County. Ross County is one of the teams in the league where they're one of the teams I just don't care about enough, and I don't look into enough to actually give a valid opinion. So I'm just going to say Ross County at 9th. 8th, Kilmarnock. And this is the one which I feel like I might be slightly overrating. But last season, I had Kilmarnock to finish 11th. I didn't think they'd have an improvement at all from the season before. Then Lee Clark started the season not the best, and he left. And I think they were bottom of the table when he did leave, or somewhere around the bottom half anyway. They weren't having the greatest of seasons. And then he left and Kilmarnock started to pick up. They actually started playing half decently. I remember I started backing them on my Coutums, which was a surprise. And they ended not too badly. They didn't finish where I thought they would. It was a dramatic improvement from the season before, where they were playing in the relegation playoffs and they were quite safe. There was no argument about that. If I'm just checking. Look, they finished the second in the bottom half. Not a bad season at all, considering what I was expecting, and I think most people were expecting another very close relegation battle for Kilmarnock, and they went on with all these new signings last year and done quite well. Lee McCulloch takes the helm this year. They did find themselves not topping the group. They got beat off Ayr United, which is quite, got beaten at Ayr Derby. I suppose you can let bygones be bygones, put it behind them. But with that, it was quite a doubt. I think I was going to actually be a bit nicer to them, but they weren't the greatest in the Betfred Cup group stage because they ended up finishing in the unseeded spot in the group. But I do see Kilmarnock having a solid season. I don't think they'll struggle. I think they might struggle at the start. I think with one of those seasons they get towards the end, they'll get more comfortable. And it really just comes down to fitness. Players, the most important players staying fit. Rory McKenzie, is he still there? I don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you, but I do think Kilmarnock will be safe. I don't see them going down. It's a dramatic increase. I've given them a few places increased from last year where I predicted them to be in a relegation battle. I think they'll have a safe season. Like 7th place, and I found it difficult to put them in the bottom half because they had such a strong season last year. Partick Thistle, someone who I expected to do pretty badly, not going to lie. I predicted them to finish 10th in the table. They surprised me. I think I'm the majority of fans by surprise now, and Archibald done a fantastic job to guiding them to a top half finish. A fantastic job done by Alan Archibald, to say the least, and they finished top half. Now, the reason for being bottom half this year is I think it's going to take a miracle to get top half. The teams above them, the top 6 that obviously that's left here, are just so strong compared to the bottom 6 teams. They've got a much better squad. They've got better managers. Well, arguably better managers. It was just so difficult to give reasoning for Partick Thistle to be in the top half, and I had to put them 7th, although I do expect them to, mount a challenge to the very end, and I can see them, their perseverance, their passion and such, just taking them maybe a little bit further, and maybe surprising us and getting into the top half. But I do think it will take some sort of minor miracle because the teams above them are just so strong, budget-wise, quality-wise, tactical-wise, managerial-wise, everything. Alan Archibald is a good manager. Alan Archibald probably better than the likes of Ian Cathro. I could see him stepping into the top 6 sometime soon, becoming a top 6 manager, Alan Archibald. So Partick Thistle looking to follow up in a great season last year. I don't think fans will be or should be disheartened if they do dip into the bottom half on that 7th place slot, because at the end of the day, as I said, budget wise, quality wise, these top 6 teams are just better than Partick Thistle, and it's why I've got them sitting 7th place. So that makes me move into the top half now. We're leading into the top half, and in 6th place, this is a jumbled about, and it was yesterday I made the decision to move them down from 5th to 6th. At 6, I've got Hearts. I can't find a way to actually back Hearts here for this season. Going into the Betfred Cup group stage, I was saying I think Hearts will do it this year. I think they'll have a good season, a strong season. I think Ian Cathro's going to turn it around. I think he's going to get his act together, and he's going to have a solid season. It's just, after watching that catastrophe I've had a catastrophe. I've a Betfred group stage campaign where they couldn't beat Peterhead. They got beat after Dunfermline. I just can't sit back and actually defend Ian Cathro heading into the season. I wasn't exactly going to come on and defend him, right? I was planning about 4 days ago to come on and put Hearts 5th, maybe 4th at a push, saying I think Ian Cathro can turn it around. And I think he might have something in plan. I think his transfers will help improve, and they'll fit his tactic. Just the whole Betfred group stage campaign has completely reversed that decision, and I just don't know how I can sit and say that Hearts are going to have a strong season. The question is, can he turn it around now? And if he can't, how long is it going to be until Anne Budge and everybody else at Hearts says, right, out your arse, and gets rid of him? That's the question. They need the managerial position at Hearts needs to be sorted, I suppose. Going some point quickly into the season, they'll get a good idea. They've got a tough start. Obviously, they're coming to Parkhead first, and it'll be, if we embarrass them, if we pick them apart, beat them by more than 4 or 5 goals, say, surely at that point there's a question around his job security, because he's got to show some sort of strength from only getting beat 2-0 at the end of last season to going into this season. Some sort of improvement, because Celtic's team hasn't changed much. There's still opening day, closing day, same sort of passion and atmosphere. Surely there shouldn't be a drastic disimprovement in Hearts going into this game. But take that game aside, it really depends on how he starts the season and how long Cathro's in the job and if he can turn things around. So I've got Hearts at 6th, going into 5th. I've got St Johnstone, who I did originally have as 6th. I think St Johnstone will have a strong season. They did lose Danny Swanson. Obviously, he's away to Hibs. So in the transfers front of things, I need to actually check up on how St Johnstone have done in the transfer market just to get a finalised idea, because I know they've done a couple of things, but I need to just hold on. And I thought they made a bunch of free transfer signings. We'll have to see how they fit into the team, but I think Tommy Wright is a really good manager. I'm going to be honest, I really do like Tommy Wright. I think he's a good manager tactically, everything about him. I just think he's a sound manager. And I think St Johnstone will have a strong season. They finished 5th last season, or 4th last season. Well, they finished 4th, getting into European football, finished above Hearts, and I think they're in for another strong season. I don't think that losing like Danny Swanson's going to hurt them too much. I have dropped them down a spot, but that's just because I think the top 4 teams, and this is where it's all so close, and it was hard to decide who to put 5th, 4th, 3rd, etc. But I do see them slipping down just a slot. They didn't do too great in the European qualifiers, obviously put out in that first round. We'll see how things go for St Johnstone, but I think they're in for a strong season. I don't think it's a team you can't underestimate ever, and it's always difficult for big teams to play St Johnstone both home and away. So, St Johnstone I've got at 5th. Now this is where it got very, very difficult, and I'm not going to lie, Rangers fans, I'm not going to lie. I was this close, I was a ball hair for putting Rangers at 4th, but I've decided to be reasonable, and I've put Hibs at 4th. Hibs are at 4th for me. I was that close to putting them at 3rd and putting Rangers at 4th. And we'll get on to that in a moment. We'll talk about Hibs first before I talk about Rangers, but I think it's going to be dramatically close between 2nd, 3rd and 4th this season. I think it's going to be very tough to get up to that 2nd place spot and cement it. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to be very, very difficult, because Aberdeen took 2nd place, and when they did, they basically held it all season, just like Celtic did with the top. Aberdeen held there consistent. I think this year it's going to be very different. Hibs I've got at 4th. I think Hibs are coming up already with a semi-decent squad. But in the transfer market, Neil Lennon has made very good signings for Hibs. Very, very good signings. He signed what's his name again? Marciano. They brought in the keeper permanently. He's brought in Effie Ambrose. They're very close to bringing in Anthony Stokes, apparently. If they bring him in, that's a massive signing for Hibs. They signed a guy for Juventus. And if he's played for Juventus, he's got to have some sort of talent in him. They brought in Danny Swanson, Simon Murray. They have had a very strong transfer window so far for the league, and I think they're really developing, and they want to make sure they have a squad that can be consistent enough to be a top 6 side, because it comes down to consistency for Hibs. They drew so much last year in the Championship, it's quite worrying. Will they do the same thing up here? Will they even lose many games? It could go either way. Hibs could be completely and utterly inconsistent, finishing the bottom half, but if they can keep some form of consistency, I see them having a very strong season, and it could have been 3rd for me, but I've put them at 4th. I do think they'll do well. Neil Lennon's a great experience in this league. He's won what, 4 titles with Celtic, won at 3 or 4. He's got great experience in the Scottish Premiership. They've got a good manager, arguably a better manager than Pedro Caixinha, and they've got a very strong team. I've not very strong, but a strongish team to get them to the place where I think they'll go. So I've got Hibs at 4th. I do think they'll have a good season. At the end of the day, it's consistency for Hibs that is what has to keep them in this sort of position, which leads me on to 3rd place. We have got Rangers. For the 2nd year in a row, I'm putting Rangers at 3rd. And this is where the most controversy always gets created. I'm sorry, but how can you sit back and say that it's going to be a 2nd place season? And aye, hands up once more, as I said last year, if you finish 2nd, fair enough, I was wrong. I'll take it. But how can you say with confidence that Rangers are going to finish 2nd this season when you've just got beat after the 4th best team in Luxembourg? You struggled to beat them at Ibrox and they beat you comfortably away from home. That should have never happened. In my opinion, Pedro Caixinha should not have the Rangers job. I think he has done a poor enough job as it is. He's been embarrassed off Celtic twice. He got their first loss against Aberdeen at Ibrox in 25 years. He got knocked out of Europe within fucking the first round. The team we just mentioned, and it's just not strong enough. A strong enough management for Pedro Caixinha. I don't think he's right for the job. Fair enough, Rangers have made all these signings. They're close to, is it 10 or something signings? They've brought in all these Portuguese guys. They've brought in Bruno Alves. They've brought in fucking Ryan Jack for Aberdeen, who I thought is a very good signing. I still do think he's a very good signing for Rangers. I think he'll make a big difference. But all these other Portuguese guys, Mexican guys, it's a completely different style of football we play over here. And I don't think they're going to come in. And it does take time to gel. A lot of people are saying, right, we got knocked out of Europe because the team hasn't had time to gel. Well, I hope to fuck the gel soon because, well, I don't hope to fuck. I'd like to see, obviously, I'm a Celtic fan, so I don't want to fucking see Rangers do necessarily well. But I just find it so hard to sit here and say this season I think Rangers will finish 2nd. I think he's had more luck under fucking Mark Warburton, and that's just my opinion. The team, I need to have it, has not got a great idea of the team, and they've not made a good first impression getting knocked out of Europe the way they did. So I can't sit here and say Rangers are going to finish 2nd, because at the start of last season I said in my video I think next year Rangers will finish 2nd, but not this year. I go back my word, I can't put Rangers as 2nd, I'm sorry, just can't put them as 2nd. Let me know your opinion. Rangers fans, feel free to abuse me. If you do finish 2nd, I don't care. I just find it hard to believe right now that Rangers can finish 2nd this season, which is why it's 2nd. Again, we've got Aberdeen, because Derek McInnes knows what he's doing. Derek McInnes is a manager. He's a manager made for this league, and he knows how to play in this league, and he knows how to play successfully with a team. Yes, he's lost a lot of his top players. He's lost Niall McGinn, he's lost Ryan Jack. He's still got Adam Rooney there. He's brought in Gary Mackay-Steven and Ryan Christie, who are 2 brilliant signings for Aberdeen, and so far they're already proving it. They're doing well in their European qualifiers, really well, and Derek McInnes is just showing how good a manager he is. That's the type of manager Rangers need, not Pedro Caixinha, and I do find it hard that they'll ever get Derek McInnes within the next year if Pedro Caixinha was to go. I think he would want to finish up the job at Aberdeen. He's just signed this big contract. I mean, if he didn't take Sunderland, would he take Rangers? I see Rangers as a bigger club than Sunderland, but will he? Would he do it? Anyway, we'll talk about Aberdeen themselves. I think they've still got a strong team, no matter if the people they've lost. Because they lost Ash Taylor as well, didn't they? A couple of other guys. They've still got a strong team from back to front, and I think they will close the gap a little bit from last season between Celtic and Aberdeen. Because it will be difficult to maintain another invincible season, let's be realistic. I would love to see it happen again. First place Celtic, do I really need to explain? I don't even need to explain. I don't need to explain why Celtic are at the top. Do I really need to? Do I fucking need to? No, I don't. Celtic will finish first. It's just the reality of things. I do see the gap being closed a little bit. We'll see how much by the end of the season. Who knows? The gap could be widened for all we know. But Celtic will comfortably win the league again. I'm going by saying, I should be saying that with most confidence. I should, every Scottish Premiership fan. It's just common sense really at this point. I don't think Rangers has improved enough to mount a challenge for the title, and Aberdeen, obviously, they're just not as strong as Celtic. So, aye, I guess that's where we leave it. That's my league table. That's what I've predicted. We'll see at the end of the year how well it goes. Last year, not too bad. Not the worst. Couple of shockers. Partick Thistle were one. Motherwell done worse than I expected them to do. So let's see this year. Who do you think could upset this season? Who could be doing worse than expected or better than expected? Let me know. I hope you did enjoy. Feel free to abuse anybody of any team support. Hit like and subscribe. Whistled. I'll see you all later.